Hi, chat. Let me just add Nick's camera.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And also, Katie, thank you for having me.
Of
This is gonna be
course.
fun.
Thank you
Hang
so
out,
much for being
chat, shoot
here.
the shit, reminisce, tell some stories,
Heck yeah.
and meet your community for sure.
There we go. We have your camera on. Perfect.
It feels like it's 2019.
Yeah. It's still March
That's
2020.
funny.
That's where I am, like, mentally. How have your how
I
have
think
your
we all are.
holidays been? How has your time being at home and
It's been great, as you can see. I'm just sitting by the fire.
oh yeah,
It's
it's
my
really nice.
horrible background that I'm at my parents' house right now. We're having a great time, just really relaxing for the weekends. And the best part about uh this time home is that I get to be here with my brothers too, and
Yeah.
we get to just play a lot of video games. So we just beat Village, which I had a
Nice.
blast with. We loved it, and now we're on to Mercenaries in Village. And then
Nice.
after that, we're gonna get to play RE4 in VR.
Oh yeah, because I seen
So
you got sent like a VR headset on Twitter.
oh yeah, so yeah, the Quest 2 came in, and I haven't even turned it on yet, but we're gonna get to play that, and I've heard it's just like a whole different experience. I don't know if you've played that game.
Oh, I've
Have
played
you?
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I'm really excited to experience it in like first person.
Yeah, I don't know if I could play it in VR because I get really motion sick. Like, so I don't know if I'd be great at it in VR, but it's a great game. I hope that you enjoy it in VR. It looks fun. It's a great game.
Totally
What
will.
what
Yeah,
did you think
we
of
will.
Village? Because I need to know what you thought of Village.
Have you played?
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We played it on
Personally,
stream like together as community.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I I think it's very special when a new game comes out. Now, the reason I had to wait all these months to play it is because I wanted to play it with David, my little brother. And this is the
Oh.
first time I've seen him since it came out. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like when we turn on a new Resident Evil game and we're about to experience like a whole new story, all new bad guys and everything. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's very nostalgic for us.
Mm-hmm.
So going through like the first section was pretty different and tough because for the first time we're dealing with werewolves infected or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh Story was great, the characters were great, the storytelling was great. I loved like the medieval kind of gothic vibe to
Yeah.
most of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it went like a whole steampunk direction.
Yeah.
Another special thing for me is that like I've befriended so much of that cast at this point.
Yeah.
So over the past like 2 years, I've got to know like Neil, Nicole,
Mhm.
Jeff Shine, like all those people, and I've talked with them online, and I get to experience the story with their performances in front of me,
That's
and
so
then
cool.
kill them, which is great. So,
Just
yeah,
killing your friends, it's
it's
chill.
when we were growing up beating these games, I never knew the people. I wasn't involved in the franchise, and so I'm
Mhm.
kind of seeing it from kind of like a different perspective, but also from a fan perspective as well. So
Yeah.
it's been really awesome. Like so now we're digging deep into mercenaries, which is super tough to
Nice.
SS rank all those levels. It's really hard, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that challenge.
Yeah, cuz I actually only got into Resident Evil this year because I
I know you saw
was
that.
very much of the like these games are too scary for me. Like I've always been a fan of horror, like horror movies and stuff, but for some reason I was always like games are I can't play horror games. And then the first Resident Evil game I played was Resident Evil 2 Remake. And
Yes.
yeah. And it's so special to me. And like now I am like exploring the whole series. And yeah, we played Village together as like a community. I streamed like the whole thing. And I just cried my eyes out like at the ending. It was just such a beautiful game. Um, but one thing that I found was like there's like different genres of horror within that one game, and
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
wanted to find out which area or like which part was your favorite or like which boss was your favorite.
That is a good question. Let's see. I well, I have a lot of favorite parts. I sadly think that the Beneviento house, the
Hmm.
one with the dolls, that was way too freaking short.
Yeah, it
Because I
was
grew up
actually.
with games also like Silent Hill, and that little house was so trippy and like
Mhm.
cerebral fucking with you and some of the creatures in there, I'm not gonna spoil it, but oh my God. And then
Mhm.
it ended like that.
Yep.
And I was so disappointed. I was like, I need more of this. And I
Yeah.
wish they balanced off the game a little bit more and did more with that
Mhm.
and maybe less of a little bit of Heisenberg's area, which was awesome, but it was like its own game
Yeah, it
almost.
was that was the
So
longest, I think, yeah.
yeah, by far.
Mhm.
Slug Baby. Yeah, I
The
was freaking
slug.
out. So,
Everyone wanted to ask you about the slug baby because that
oh
scared the
Jesus.
shit out of me.
Both my brother and I, when that happened and it whatever came down the steps, I was just
Mhm.
like, "Oh, what is that? What is that? Holy shit, fuck." Yeah, oh, it was like that was the reaction we had. I was like shivering and like,
That is the only reaction you can have to that. Like I was screaming. I have never felt like because it chases you, you have to hide under the bed.
oh
I
my,
have never felt
oh my
panic
God.
like that in my life playing a game. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Jesus. Oh yeah.
It was wild.
I wish we had more of it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, so I think the for a boss fight though, they were all fun.
Mhm.
I actually Lady D was pretty fun,
Yeah.
and in Heisenberg was very different and weird, but it was also fun.
Yeah. Very different. Yeah. Um
Yeah,
yeah, Village is great. Like I'm glad that you got to play it because I know like I've watched like other interviews and stuff you've done before and you've said that like Resident Evil is particularly special to you because you play it with your brother. So I'm glad that you got to you I'm sure like the pandemic and stuff has gotten in the way of doing stuff like that. So yeah, I'm glad that
yeah,
you got to the chance to do that. You've played Resident Evil since like 98, is that right?
yeah,
Since the
yeah.
OG. And then
You probably weren't even born by then, were you?
I was, but I was a baby.
Yeah, that's when I began. Yeah,
Yeah, but so is Resident Evil 4 your favorite? Because I've seen you say before that Resident Evil 4 is pretty special.
I think it is because that was the one that I introduced my little brother to the franchise with,
Mm,
and he was only 9 years old at the time, and when it
wow.
came out, I would babysit him all the time, and I I was like, Dave, we should play this game because he was coming off of like I started him on Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. That's what
Yeah.
he was playing at the time, like, a lot of like Mario, a lot of Mario stuff that came out on GameCube.
Hmm.
And when that came out, it was like a jump from like Mario Sunshine to Resident Evil.
Yeah,
It's,
just a little bit.
as far as the maturity level goes, and
Yeah.
so when we started playing that, like, yeah, he had nightmares, he was scared to death, but
Oh my
he
god.
he really fell in love, like, that was
Yeah.
a big turning point in his childhood, and so that's why I think 4 will just always be, like hold a special place in my heart,
Yeah.
and we've beat that, like, 50 times, and now to
Nice.
play it in VR from a different perspective is gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, that's so cool. So like obviously you're the voice of Leon in the Resident Evil 2 remake and also in Infinite Darkness, both of which are amazing. I think I've watched Infinite Darkness like 5 times now.
Oh, no kidding. Wow, awesome.
It's yeah, it's so good. Did I just kind of wanted to ask because I think Infinite Darkness is great. Like did you have so you did the whole like performance capture for that whole thing? And I just
Yeah,
wanted to know
yeah.
if you had like a favorite scene that you filmed or any like favorite moments from making that.
Yes, it was just the action. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we did all the motion capture for that. We actually, flew to Japan, 1 month after RE2 Remake came out. So it
Mm-hmm.
was February 2019. We flew out and shot that whole thing in like 13 days, and
Wow.
it was the stunts, like, that team, they were awesome, by the way. And any part of the action that I thought I could do, because 'cause I'm a stuntman as well,
Mm-hmm.
but some companies in Los Angeles, they don't want you to do that and cross the lines because if there's something semi-dangerous, if you get hurt, then
Yeah.
all of a sudden the lead actor is hurt, sprains his
Yeah.
ankle, breaks his ankle. It's like now they're kind of fucked. But the team in Japan were just like, "You want to do that thing, hanging off that and jumping out?" Like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." And I was like, "Wow, awesome, yes."
Nice.
So I think that was like the fun part. It wasn't the heaviest action project I'd ever done, but there
Mm-hmm.
was enough action in there and stunts because we also played like some of the soldiers. We mocapped a lot of the people in that. There was a very small cast, but there were a lot of characters like soldiers and all that stuff, and
Mm.
secondary characters, Wilson and all those people, and
Yeah.
we mocapped a lot of different people. At some
Wow.
point, I was Wilson. At some point, I was Patrick. At some point, I was yada
Oh,
yada, soldiers,
right.
and so on and
Cool.
so forth. The rest of the other cast also.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie Panisello, who voiced Claire and mocapped Claire, she also mocapped Shenmei.
Oh, really? That's so cool.
Yep, she did the body for Shenmei.
Oh,
So all her
nice.
action as well. Yeah. So it was
Yeah,
really
that's
fun.
so cool. Huh. That's so cool. What was like, so not kind of like, did you have a preference of like which one you enjoyed doing more, like Resident Evil 2 Remake or Infinite Darkness? Because I'm sure they were so different. But what were like the
Mhm.
main differences in doing those two things?
Well, I would say because Infinite Darkness was a series, uh I mean you have seen it and you know how the story was presented in all
Mm-hmm.
the episodes. Like it kind of rewound, told a little bit more of the story, then went forward, then rewound. It was kind of like really jumbled up.
Yeah.
And so when I'm sitting there reading the script for Infinite Darkness, it's a contained story because it is just something you experience and watch for about 90 minutes, like
Yeah.
front to back. So the story is all there. Versus we were filming RE2 Remake, because all I did was I mocapped the cinematic breaks, the cutscenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
The story is not complete. The
Oh yeah, I get
cutscenes
you.
just they tell a little bit of the story, and and then it moves you, the gamer, forward. And it's like, oh, now I have to do this, 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 and this, and meet that guy, and then it cuts to another cutscene.
Mm.
So like
Mm-hmm.
we in RE2 is kind of harder to see the story as a whole because I only saw little glimpses of it.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Whereas Infinite Darkness is like we had the entirety of the
The
plot,
whole thing.
the whole
Right.
thing.
Cool. I
So
guess you
so
can't
when I
really compare them in that
you can't,
case.
you really can't. So when I played RE2 Remake, there were a lot of things I didn't know. I didn't
Mm.
know how this character was going to meet this character. I knew nothing about Claire's campaign because that was
Mm.
different. I'd never filmed with Chief Irons. Like I didn't know anything about the orphanage, nothing, because Leon
Right.
wasn't involved in it. So I think it
Yeah.
was more of a surprise when I experienced RE2.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna let chat like ask you questions because I had like those questions and like I'll have some other things to talk about in the meantime.
Sam's Little Spooks. I
Nice.
love these names. Does doing the mocap as well as the voice help you feel more involved in the character? Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
That's a good question. I'm a very physical actor.
Mm-hmm.
My background is in action films, and of course, when I get to embody the character and bring my physicality to that role,
Yeah.
that's like I'm a very nuanced actor, and a lot of nuances get lost behind a microphone.
Mm.
So if I'm just in the booth and I give that look over there, that look over there, like I've been considered like a stoic actor a lot. So 100% when they let me be in the room and they're recording everything, and
Yeah,
that is emphasized or like reinforced by what I'm saying or doing. So I think yes, for me, I would highly prefer to do full performance motion capture, meaning they grab everything, the face, the body, and the voice to do these characters. I would prefer that over just voice any day.
that makes sense. I'm sure it's like it's easier for you to because I can imagine like all of the kind of moments of like Leon shouting things and like groans and grunts and stuff is like easier to do when you're actually like physically feeling that.
100%. Yeah. Sometimes, like in Infinite Darkness, we had to record a lot of that in the booth after the fact. So
Hmm.
we recorded everything in Japan on set with the body and voice, but the audio wasn't usable, so we had to ADR, and we had to re-record and like redub our own voice for every line of that project.
Wow.
And I was finding myself in the booth trying to mimic what I was doing on screen. I'm sitting there like bumping into walls and shit, and so
Oh
because
my
I
god.
gotta move to do this stuff,
Yeah.
especially when you're jumping here, falling down here, hitting the ground. It's like that
Mm.
stuff requires you to actually physically do it, or you
Yeah.
gotta just kind of pretend,
Yeah.
which is harder.
Yeah, I seen someone ask, I think it was Chloe, what games, like I'm quite interested what games you like to play outside of the Resident Evil franchise. Is there any
Oh,
game that you're really enjoying right now that isn't Resident Evil?
Yeah, I'm diving deep into the Zelda franchise.
Oh,
I've been a Zelda
nice.
fan all my life, but I recently dove into Breath of the Wild, which is holy shit, that's an undertaking.
Yep.
I'm so busy in my life, but what I am is I'm a jet setter. Like I
Mm-hmm.
travel for work all the time, and in the past 3 years, I've been on about maybe legitimately about 230 flights, and
Wow.
so I just take my Nintendo Switch right on those flights,
Nice. Yeah,
and
definitely.
I can just play. I can lose myself in Breath of the Wild for like 6 to 8 hours on a flight.
Yeah.
So I beat that. I just beat Skyward Sword for Zelda, and now I'm
Nice.
gonna move on to like Majora's Mask. Like I want to hit like that whole franchise because I
Yeah.
think they're really good games.
Yeah,
They're
they're so
engaging.
good.
They're good games, and I'm gonna just keep playing a lot of different ones. Let's see. The other one I'm looking forward to is Final Fantasy VII Remake because the original was one of my favorites of all time, and
Nice.
that's probably gonna be my next big one. Did I hear that? Did I see that you're gonna get a Leon tattoo? Is that a joke or is that
I'm
legit?
not getting a Leon tattoo, but I'm getting a Resident Evil tattoo. I'm getting his knife
Oh,
tattooed, and like
that's
the
badass.
herbs, I'm getting like the herbs kind of coming up the handle of the knife and into the blade.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna get that?
I'm
Or
gonna
is it personal?
get it like here on my arm.
I was actually considering that myself, only because just something like a
Mm-hmm.
subtle reference to Resident Evil, and the reason is because a couple of reasons. Number one, um, it's been my favorite video game franchise for 20 something years, 23 years or something,
Yeah.
and also the fact that at this point, because I'm in the franchise, it has changed my whole life
Yeah.
with my career trajectory and all that stuff. So it has given me so much. So I was thinking about doing the same thing.
Yeah. Do you
I
have
don't know what
like
yet.
do you
I'll
have
design it.
any ideas of what you think you might get?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Whatever it is, though, it would be a bit subtle,
Yeah.
as compared to putting like an RPD logo on my heart or something like that.
Yeah.
It would be subtle, but something that I know and the
Yeah.
community may know. By the way, you're at 750 pounds
Yeah,
out of
we're
2,000. You're almost
750.
halfway there.
Let's
Almost.
go.
Yeah, it's a great foundation. That's another reason why I
Mm-hmm.
really was down to do this because it's a good way to spend the last day of the year
Yeah.
is to do something. So kudos to you for setting this up.
Thank you.
Okay, well that's a good question. So Laura K. Justine, if I'm saying it right. What is your take on the horrors in RE being explained by rational things like fungus and virus versus mystical beings and ghosts?
This is a
Well,
good question.
I think it's kind of a smart mechanic because it's a bit more believable. Like it could actually happen. I mean, look at what we're dealing with right now with the coronavirus. Yeah,
Yeah.
possibly possibly mutating again and reanimating dead cells. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's more science based, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it kind of lends to that like reality, like oh my god, this really could happen,
Yeah, this
right?
could happen. Yeah.
Versus like mystical beings and ghosts, it's kind of like a different realm of horror, a
Yeah.
bit more fantastical, and
Mm-hmm.
I like how it's a bit more grounded and they try to really explain that. So
Yeah.
I I'm down with it.
When we played the RE3 remake, like I think the opening of that is all like pandemic and like all these newspapers and stuff. We were like,
Yeah.
shit, this feels really relatable right now.
They weren't planning on that because they filmed that like probably a year prior to the pandemic and it
Mm-hmm.
just happened to be like the same shit we were seeing on the news.
Yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous. And that's what I'm talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
uh Sam's Little Spooks asks how different was the experience working on Life is Strange versus RE?
Mm.
I mean, totally different. Look at those franchises. At the end of the day, you're still playing a character, but they were much less physical. And
Mm-hmm.
I did have to do that performing in the booth I was talking about, but that was really about really just creating a character that I wasn't as familiar with. With Leon, I knew I had played him in so many games and I understood like where he was and if they just said,
Yeah.
"Hey, focus on young rookie Leon," I was kind of like, "All right, cool, I got it."
Mm-hmm.
And for this, the first character I ever voiced in A Life is Strange was the younger version of Frank Bowers,
Mm-hmm.
who was just like this kind of like skeezy secondhand man to a club owner, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you never knew if his intentions were pure or like if he was just a sleazebag.
Yeah.
And the voice director was really fun, and he was like, "Hey, just play with your Boston like East Coast swagger and put a little grit in your voice." And so I really got to play a fun character
Nice.
and just like tap into some of the people I knew growing up in the Boston area.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, how you doing? Hey, come here. What are you doing? You want to watch coffee? Come on. Like, so I just got to play with it and have fun.
Yeah.
Uh, and then when I played Charles Erickson and some of the other games there, he was just like a low energy,
Mm-hmm.
kind of sort of like deadbeat alcoholic dad
Mm-hmm.
who had a lot of remorse. Like he knew he was a shitbag. He
Mm-hmm.
knew he wasn't a good father. He didn't like that fact, but he had a lot of like self-loathing, and that was really different for me because for me, I'm like a very bubbly, energetic person.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I'm not an alcoholic. I know a lot of people who have fought that
Mm-hmm.
disease, and it's real. And so I got to dive into some deep, dark emotion there.
Yeah.
Very, again, very different. I had to
Mm-hmm.
connect in different ways. That was a good
Nice.
question, though.
Yeah, that was a really good question.
And just so everybody knows, I give very long-winded answers.
No, it's good. It's great. It's really interesting. So you talk away. You're so fine.
Scroll through. If you see any good ones too, just spit them out.
Yeah, sure. My mod Daniel asks, how did you get your start in voice acting? Like, where did that all start for you?
Well, I guess I started voice acting in commercials before
Mm-hmm.
I was doing video games, but I always wanted to get in video games. As of like maybe 2014 or so, I learned what motion capture was,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, wow, I could do this, and I tried to pursue it, and it's really tough to get in that part of the industry. And then I just saw this breakdown for a character in a video game. They didn't say what it was, and that was actually for Frank Bowers in Life is Strange Before the Storm.
Oh.
So I think that was my first official booking in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was filming that, recording that off and on in the studio, I saw the audition for Resident Evil 2 from
Yeah.
OCAP, and that's when I went after it. So like simultaneously, I think RE2 remake and Life is Strange Before the Storm, it all
Mm-hmm.
happened at the same time.
Wow.
The only difference is I recorded Frank Bauer's part, Life is Strange. We probably had maybe 3 to 4 sessions in the booth, like
Mm-hmm.
3 to 4 days, and that's it. RE2 remake took 2.5 years to record,
Wow.
off and on. Like we had major breaks in between. So
Yeah.
that process was between 2016 and 2018 and a half, basically.
Wow.
So that was just long, and then in between
Mm-hmm.
that, that's when I started doing more mocap and more voices and stuff like that. So it
Cool.
started kind of like slow, and it just came out of nowhere.
Is there any, like, obviously you've been a fan of video games your whole life. Is there any, like, particular game that you were like, yeah, this is inspiring me to want to do this, to want to be a voice actor for video games?
It was RE4.
Nice.
So when we were playing that game, that guy, his name is Paul Mercier.
Paul
He
Mercier,
voiced
yeah.
Leon,
Mm-hmm.
and he's my personal favorite, Leon.
Nice.
And I've told him that. So he's in the voice acting community, obviously, and I've
Mm-hmm.
got to speak with him, and I told him that he's one of my heroes, and I said I'll be
Oh,
damned if it wasn't your performance in that game that made me want to start acting in the first place.
that's so
We're
cool.
talking long before I was I had ever acted. This is like back in 2005. I was
Shit.
a lot younger, and I was saying to myself, "Wow, that would be cool to like be in a video game, Dave, right? Like, wouldn't that be awesome if that was us?" That's what we used to say, and so I think he probably is one of the biggest reasons why. Oh, let's see. You mentioned Silent Hill earlier. This is from Movie Miles. Would you love to see that franchise come back, as well as with the same treatment RE got with the new games and remakes? Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, Silent Hill was its own kind of horror. Have you played those
I haven't
at all?
played them, no, but I like
Okay.
there's a lot of games that I want to play in the new year, and Silent Hill is on that list because
Yeah.
I just put off not playing horror games for so long, and I've missed out on all this great stuff. So yeah, Silent Hill is definitely on the list for sure.
You should. I mean, when you go back if you're gonna play like the original and two, which was a great game, and then some of the others, when you reverse in time, it like those games are they feel a little dated a little bit,
Yeah.
but you will experience like how kind of fucked up they still are. So when
Yeah.
I was playing those games, they were just unsettling. Like
Mm.
you'd be playing it, you just have this like eerie feeling the whole time, and it gives like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of tension as you open that next door, and something fucked up is in the back of that door. Kind of like Slug Baby.
Like Slug Baby, yeah.
It's stuff like that that you just like. That's what Nightmares is made of, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I recommend that you do play them. But yes, I would
Heck
love to
yeah.
see a proper reimagining because I think they would do it right.
Sam had asked if you could play the protagonist in any other video game franchise. Would there be anyone that you would want to play?
Yeah, Dead Space.
Oh.
Dead Space was another horror franchise I loved growing up. I would love to be in a Castlevania game,
Oh.
even if it's not the pro tag. I would just die to be involved in that franchise
Mm-hmm.
because that's another huge one in my life that long before I even knew what Resident Evil was, I played Castlevania 3 and fell in love with that game. Just like that kind of, well, I wouldn't say medieval, but that gothic like Transylvania themed horror
Yeah.
games with like bats and vampires and all that stuff. That got
Mm-hmm.
me introduced to that. Freaking loved it. Still do.
Nice.
Those games are beautiful. The music is awesome. The weapon systems in those games are awesome.
One of the games that I'm playing right now, like on stream with my community, is The Last of Us. Have you ever played The Last of Us?
So that's another big one that I need to get into. I started playing Last of Us during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I got like maybe 5 hours in, and then
Uh,
for some reason, I just stopped.
yeah.
It's not
I
that I
mean,
was
you're
bored.
busy,
It's just,
so it makes sense.
well, at that time I was playing a lot online with my friends, like Call
Mm-hmm.
of Duty and just games just to like stay social with my friends.
Yeah.
And The Last of Us just maybe seemed really depressing, and I was like, I'm not ready yet to dive into a story like this for like another 100 hours.
That makes sense. The
And then
Last of Us is
because that's
intense.
it's intense and it's long, and you
Mm-hmm.
really have to like marry that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm just not ready. I put it down. I never picked it up again. I still
Mm-hmm.
have it,
Mm-hmm.
and I will beat that one day, and then I will go right into Last of Us 2.
Yeah. Is it
So I
they're
will.
they are great games, but it's like, yeah, like Miles said, playing it, like starting it during a pandemic is like, it's another one of those things. It's like, shit, this is too real. Like, kind of need like a little bit more of escapism, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
they're great games. Intense
That's
though.
why it was easier just to link up with my squad, my buddies, and just shoot
Yeah.
people in Call of Duty.
Yeah. Satanic Witch asked, are there any nuances you personally added to Leon's character in the remake that differed from the original to make him more yours?
Yeah, a lot of the lines are paraphrased in ways that I would say them.
Mm-hmm.
What I loved about the director, the cinematic director Tom Keegan, he's a BAFTA nominated director. He's done some huge games, and he's a really smart guy. He knew more than me about the whole process, and he taught
Mm-hmm.
me a lot. But I loved that he would sense like if we started performing a scene as written and something wasn't flowing right, it just didn't feel right, the flow. And he would say, well, he's like, forget about the lines that are written on the script. He's like, how would you say this? If you came
Yeah.
in and you saw this girl you just met and you just met her at a fence and you're happy to see her and the zombie's about to kill you, he's like, what would you say in real life? And he would
Yeah.
let us play with it. And
That's
so
cool.
a lot of the scenes, a lot of the lines are paraphrased with phrases that I would say, little
Mm-hmm.
nuances like that. And so that's the thing is Capcom did give us a lot of liberty to really bring our essence into the characters. That's why we were hired. And
Yeah,
that's why
that's
they
cool.
said that. They said, we chose you because we like your personality. So you don't have to change much. You don't have to be anything extra. Just be yourself and trust that and trust us.
Yeah.
That was
That's
cool. That
really
was very
cool. Yeah, that's really
it's
cool.
very liberating for us because sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you're hired because they think you can pull off this character and they say, well, he needs to be this, he needs to be that. And you gotta like hit that little window of like where that
Mm-hmm.
character lives. And that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the case with RE2.
Do you have, so one of my community members is actually at work today, and he wanted me to ask you, his name is Darren, he wanted me to ask you what your favorite line is in the RE2 remake.
There were a lot of there were a lot of lines that I resonated with. That's a good question. Let me see. I I just like lines that kind of sum up what a character is. And when
Mm-hmm.
Leon says, "Whatever it takes to save the city, count me in."
Yeah.
I like that one and his very simple line, "Okay, Lieutenant, I'm ready."
Yeah.
Because it's just like it oozes Leon
Leon.
as a
Yeah.
rookie. Like, he's just ready. He's like almost like SpongeBob in a way. Like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. Like he
It's
had
like
no idea what he was
SpongeBob.
about. He had
It's
no
great.
idea what he was getting into.
Yeah.
But then towards the end, when he was seeing like a lot of the shit, he had fought a couple bosses, and he tells Ada, whatever it takes, like I'm in this shit. Let's do
Mm-hmm.
this. It was like a turning point for him.
Yeah. We
So I always like those.
we were playing Resident Evil 2 just before you came on. It was that scene with Kendo and his daughter. And that's the
Yeah,
scene where Leon says that. That scene is like my favorite, but also like it destroys my soul because it's so sad. But like
it was.
I
Yeah,
was saying to my chat, it's like it's like the real moment where you see Leon, like what like his heart, I feel like. And yeah, that's why I love that scene so much. I think it's great.
it was a it was a really pivotal point in the story for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Ada tells Leon for the first time like what her mission actually is.
Mhm.
So she changes.
Mhm.
Leon changes because he's like, okay, this shit's real.
Mhm.
Uh, it was heartbreaking like that with Kendo and jeez, yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
was one of
sad.
my favorite scenes to film just because I got to be there and just witness that.
Yeah.
Just being there as an actor and seeing Ken Lally, he's the actor that Mo Captain voiced Kendo,
Mhm.
and just watching that with a little girl, we all on set, we were just like, "Oh my
Oh
God."
my god, I can't even
Like,
imagine.
and then when I saw the scene for the first time, it was even more impactful, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, I got like teary-eyed because of that.
Yeah. I know my friend Lindsay wanted to ask, is there any other franchises or series, movies or games that you're really interested in outside of Resident Evil? Like what are you a huge fan of?
I'm a huge fan of like I wish they did like a reimagining of Terminator.
Wow.
Terminator is one of my favorite movie franchises, but I'm just continuously let down every time they have one of these sequels come out. And they try to capture the magic of the originals, but sadly they don't.
Mhm.
Big fan of the Alien franchise. I love
Mm.
those.
Mhm.
Uh, and some of the games I've already been saying, like for the other series that I love, like Zelda. I grew up with Mega Man, Castlevania, Metroid. Oh, I just beat Metroid Dread.
Oh yeah.
That game was fucking awesome. Uh,
Nice.
let's see. Final Fantasy
Mhm.
series, like I do play Call of Duties too, like so there's those like adventure type games, and
Yeah.
then just straight up first person shooters, like I got heavy into those. Anything Tom Clancy. I mean,
Nice.
I could talk for hours about that stuff, but
Yeah, that's so cool. I like that you mentioned Mega
yeah.
Man because I liked Mega Man when I was a kid.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had like
that
it
was
was like on the Game Boy. I had like a Game Boy game. I can't really remember, but it was Mega Man and I was obsessed with it for so long. It was like
oh,
my
Mega Man's
life.
the greatest. Well, here's a little factoid about me. I was given Nintendo, the NES, when it kind of first came out, like around
Mhm.
'89, and I was really young, and so I think one of the first games that was on it was Mario Brothers, and so
Nice.
I started gaming during Mario era,
Mhm.
but then the first like slightly more mature series that I ever fell in love with when I was in I think like first and second grade was Mega Man, and
Nice.
that was my favorite. So that began my love affair with Capcom.
Yeah, that's cool. I
So
love that.
I've been a Capcom fan for 30 years,
Yeah.
and so Mega Man will that's another one that'll always like hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
If I could ever like voice a character in Mega Man, but they don't really. That's not what those games are for. They're not really
Yeah.
story based. They're just
Mhm.
like, little blue guy shooting.
Yeah.
I would die. I would die to be like a part of
That's
anything Mega Man. Yeah.
that's so cool. Like, because one of the things that I just think, like, a lot of people in the Resident Evil community, like, think of you as, like, you are just such a fan of the franchise and, like, you're just getting to live your dream of, like, playing one of your favorite characters. What was the whole process of seeing the audition, thinking, like, this could happen, and then getting it, and, like, maybe, like, your brother's reaction to you getting it and everything like that?
Oh, that was yeah, that was a really special conversation on the phone when I got to tell my
Yes.
little brother that I'm gonna be the next Leon Kennedy,
That's
and
so cool.
he freaked out, but he was giving me a lot of support um, during the whole audition process.
Mhm.
I told him that I was like, Dave, I think they're doing the next game, and I'm auditioning for Leon. He was like, Are you serious? Really? Like, I'm like, Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, holy shit. And he was really, really, really supportive throughout that process. My cousin was as well. And yeah, it was just pretty surreal when I got to say that. I remember the phone call when the casting director calls me
Mhm.
and she's like, We want to offer you the role of Leon. Would you like to take it? And I was like, Are you fucking kidding me? She's like, No, I'm not fucking kidding you. If you want it, it's yours. You want it? I was like, Ah, fuck. I'm like, yes, holy shit.
That is
Just
so
freaking the fuck
cool.
out. And so it was a really like crazy moment because like all these emotions were happening in my head.
Mhm.
Like, this is gonna be awesome. This is great. Oh my God, holy shit, the pressure. Like now all these people are gonna be expecting this crazy character. It's like now that's on me. It's like so I had
Yeah.
to kind of like chill the fuck out
Yeah.
and focus and be like, you just have to kick ass. There's no
Yeah.
fucking this up. You
I can
can't.
I can
Yeah.
imagine there was a lot of pressure like stepping into the role of Leon given how big the franchise is, how long it's been around and how
Yeah.
many voice actors have come before as well.
So many, and they're really good ones. Like,
Mhm.
there was that thought for a second of like, oh my God, now I'm gonna be compared to like my hero, Paul Mercier. I was like,
Yeah, true.
oh shit. So those thoughts and feelings and emotions do come in, but I tried not to let it psych me out. I tried to
Mhm.
just trust in Capcom that they made the right decision and they're gonna do me good. And all right, I
Yeah.
just have to go,
Yeah.
show up, and bring the right energy to set every day.
And you did. Like all of the Leon voice actors and all the voice actors in Resident Evil do fantastic jobs, and I think like everyone that has voiced Leon has done it in their own way. And I mean, your Leon is special to me because that's what got me into the entire series. So you are my favorite Leon, but all of the Leons are
Oh,
like
sweet.
incredible
They're good.
and yeah,
They're really
all in
good,
their
and
own
if
right.
you got friendly with Paul Haddad, well, have you played the original?
I haven't played the original though.
You'll have to.
I need to, yeah.
Uh, Paul Haddad, he was the first Leon that I
The
ever experienced
mhm.
because that was the original, and I remember playing his character. I was like, "Wow, this is awesome," because that game was also a jump for me in the maturity level because I was playing like just like kind of funner games and Final Fantasy and stuff, and then all of a sudden there's this bloody, gory zombie game that I
Yeah.
wasn't used to at the time. So I was like,
Mhm.
wow, this is intense.
Mhm.
And Paul Haddad, so I got to he gave me his blessing when he found out and it was announced that I was in the new game. I was essentially taking over his character, his version of Leon, and he just reached out. He's super sweet. He just said, "Hey, I'm passing the torch to you. You did a fantastic job." He's like, "Now let's be friends and talk."
That's
And he
so
was the
cool.
sweetest guy to me.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, he passed away about a year
Yeah.
later. I'm
Yeah.
glad I got to know him though. I've never played Kingdom Hearts. No, haven't gotten into that.
I haven't either, but a lot of my chat want me to.
Did you see Welcome to Raccoon City? I see a question for that.
I did, yes. Yes, I did.
What, what'd you think?
What did you think?
I've actually I've
I saw
shared
you
my
I saw your
thoughts.
tweet about it actually, yeah.
That wraps
I
it up in 140 characters.
mhm.
Uh, I mean, it's pretty legit what I think. Did I love it? No. Did I have
Yeah.
fun with it? Yeah. I think I liked it. I think I liked it more than the other live action movies just
Mm.
because I know the director tried to give as many Easter eggs and fan service as possible, so I commend that.
Yeah.
Uh, but what I feel the studio did to him, he probably had another half hour in that movie that was filmed, but the
Mhm.
studio probably cut his legs out from under him, and they probably
Mhm.
said, "Look, we can't afford the post-production on about 30 minutes of your movie, so cut 30 minutes out."
Yeah, because
And
it
I
was
bet a
really
lot of
short.
it was, and the characters felt rushed.
Yeah.
That's what happens in a movie like that, is they probably said, "Look, we don't think we're gonna get a lot of money from this, so cut 30 minutes out and give it to us." And he's like,
Mhm.
"Shit." And he probably had to cut out like some backstory of some of the pivotal characters, maybe
Yeah.
like Lee. I think I'm pretty sure from what I've seen from BTS photos, I think Mr. X was in that movie, and I think they cut him out
Wait,
completely.
really? He was
I
supposed
think
to,
so.
because I was so shocked that, like, you know, with Jill being in it as well, like, there was no Mr. X, there was no Nemesis, like, those iconic,
I think
like,
that's what happened is so that's why a lot of transitions feel probably like really tight and
yeah.
condensed and everything. I think he had to chop his baby up, and so it's not
Damn.
his fault. He tried, and as far as the actors go, again, I think the actors played their parts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the writing was pretty poor,
Yeah.
and I mean, a lot of people ask me about Leon. I think that guy, he's a great actor. I like him,
Yeah.
and he played the role of the character that was written for him.
Yeah.
I don't like that version of Leon. I don't like the part that was written, but I think he
No.
did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against him at all.
Yeah. I seen he's received, like, a lot of backlash online, which I just think is really sad because
It's
he's an actor
misdirected
doing his job.
frustra it's
Yeah.
misdirected frustration from those people, I think.
Yeah.
It's just my
Absolutely.
opinion. It's not his fault. It's like
No.
whatever.
Yeah. I think he did a good job with what he was given, but unfortunately just not
Yeah.
given what he should have been given. Yeah, I went to see it and I was really excited for it because it was a lot like the marketing for it was like, this will be so good for video game fans and it just it just felt very like yeah, it was really rushed. It was only like an hour and a half long and
Yeah.
it, it the backstories were just not great and the one the one scene that I just can't get out of my head is when Leon is like listening to music in uh the police station like reception and the truck
And the dude is
driver comes through on fire.
I I loved that, actually. I loved that part because the music cut
Dude, the
was, like,
music.
phenomenal.
But
Yeah.
it was like a parody movie. It reminded me of like scary like a parody of Resident Evil, like a scary movie version of Resident Evil at that point. I was like, what is going on?
Nah, that was cool. There were a couple moments in the movie where I was like, "Yes! Yes! Awesome!" Like, as a fan, I was like, "Yes, that's that thing, and that's the Jeep, and, like, holy shit."
Mm-hmm.
And so, the fact that I was doing that is fun, and my brother
Yeah.
felt the same way. And, and let's see. But the one part in the movie I can't stand, and I don't know why filmmakers do this or let it go,
Mm-hmm.
is the fact on the train at the very end, like,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, the final form of Birkin, the
Yeah.
monster at the end that gets I mean, he's in the movie. That version is in the movie for, like, what, 5 seconds, and then it gets blown
Mm-hmm.
up. It's like there
Yeah.
was no tension built.
No.
It's just like, "Oh my
None.
god, here he
He
is.
was there. Then Leon
Fuck
blew
it.
him up.
Boom, dead." Anyways, but that's not the part that annoyed me. The part that annoyed me was Chris Redfield was literally, like, 5 feet away from that thing, and then the
Yes.
rocket comes in, and
And he doesn't get blown up.
hold he basically, like, holds his ears and, like, turns his head,
It was
and then
so ridiculous.
that thing blows up and disintegrates into Kingdom Come, and Chris is just like,
Yeah, he's
"Whoa,
fine. Yeah.
he's fine." Like, what?
Yes,
That
movie
makes no
logic
sense.
makes so much sense. Yeah,
I'm like, "Are you
totally.
kidding me?"
Yeah, I mean, Leon is like my favorite character. I don't like I don't know if that's obvious. Um, but I just didn't enjoy that like version of the character like at all. I didn't
Yeah.
like that. I mean, he is a rookie obviously in that story of Resident Evil, but he was just too like he was too much of like the comic relief of the movie for me as opposed to like what he really is. It just felt like wrong for his character and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was no arc for him. He was just, like, the
No.
butt of every joke. He was like
Yeah.
a haphazard, clumsy rookie, and then at the end, he just Has a rocket
has a
launcher and
rocket
shoots a thing.
launcher, somehow
It's
doesn't kill Chris. Incredible
it's it's
talent.
the laziest it's the laziest little arc, and
Mm-hmm.
that's I just I think the problem is, and we'll get off this topic in a second, but they I think they made that movie too much uh assuming that only the fans would be happy and understand all these mashed together Frankenstein references.
Yeah.
If they had just condensed it down to a simpler plot
Mm-hmm.
and made the movie for fans, but also if you were never a fan of the franchise, you
Mm-hmm.
would still really enjoy it as a standalone movie. If they were able to get that
Yeah.
balance better, I
Yeah.
think the movie would have been, because right
Yeah.
now all it is really a jumbled mess of cool Easter eggs.
Yeah. Because I hadn't even really thought of it from that like angle. Because obviously I like know the story and love the franchise, but going in not knowing anything about any of those characters, like about the video games, I can't imagine how confusing that movie would be.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to give a little shout out real quick to Harv. What's up?
Yes.
What's up, Harv?
Yeah, my we have a streamer friend called Harv, and he is a huge fan of Leon and a huge fan of you, and he has to work on New Year's Eve, so
Oh, okay.
he's gonna be so happy that you said hi. So thank you so
Well,
much.
Harv, Happy New Year. Keep
Heck
streaming
yeah.
and keep me alive next time you play me.
So in like relation to the charity, and like you don't have to go into like any sort of detail if you don't want to or whatever, but um I have said like on my stream, and I said earlier that uh Resident Evil like really helped me at a time this year where I felt like particularly that I needed like an escape, and I like felt low, and like this is why this charity is really important to me, because it's mental health but within gaming. um and I just kind of wanted to ask, like, just like a broad question of like what Resident Evil means to you, or what gaming means to you in general, if you want to
Mhm.
talk about that, obviously.
Yeah, well, I gaming I do enjoy playing solo games. Like
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild is not something I typically share with people, or like Final Fantasy VII was a very personal experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been bonding with friends all my life with video games. Like
Yeah.
literally in first and second grade when I started playing Mega Man, I created a Mega Man club.
Oh my
And
god.
at recess outside, we'd be playing out in the fields and stuff like that in school.
That is so
And
cool.
me and three of my closest friends would all get together in this little corner of the yard, and we would meet with the Mega Man Club, and we would draw in
Oh,
notebooks about all the new bosses that might be in the next Mega Man and stuff. And like it was
that
really
is so
exclusive, and
cool.
so the bonding
That's
within
basically what Twitch is now. Like, that's what Twitch is and gaming communities are like now.
maybe I was the OG.
Yeah.
Of the OG community there with the Mega Man Club. I
Yeah.
still have pictures that I drew way back in the day of like the new bosses and stuff. And so the point is it's about bonding. And
Mm-hmm.
now with the advent of like playing online and stuff that came like 10 to 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
uh that keeps people connected. And I mean, look, I'm a very social person. I have a lot of friends in real life too. But when the pandemic hit and lockdown hit in LA, especially in a lot of places,
Mm-hmm.
like everything shut down and we were hit with that reality. And you could be the most positive person, but then all of a sudden when they say, well, you can't really hang out with anybody and you shouldn't be gathering, it's like that takes a toll mentally.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
absolutely.
if you're lucky enough to have a girlfriend, a boyfriend or wife, or live with a roommate or something, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of like just loneliness and like depression that was happening with so many people, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
And linking up with my squad, my friends all across the country,
Mm-hmm.
playing Call of Duty for a whole year, I mean, that kept me afloat.
Yeah.
And that's when we started doing like, we were doing some like group streams last year with some of the Resident Evil community, other
Mm-hmm.
actors from RE games and stuff. And we did a couple charities and events, and we saw like how important that was to people
Yeah.
because I mean, like, content creators like yourself, you've got your channel, you've got your platform here, and when you use it for events like this, and all these people, there's 136 people here, they're hanging out with us the last day of the year. They could be doing anything, but they're here with us,
Yeah.
and it really makes a difference because it provides community. It provides like a sense of like, oh, we're all a part of something. We're all a family.
Hmm.
And if anyone ever says like, well, they're just online friends, they're not real friends, that's
No,
bullshit.
that is bullshit.
Because you still share memories, you share like experiences and passions and
Absolutely.
troubles, and it's like it it really makes a difference.
Hmm. Yeah.
I would just say that that's what gaming has started to mean for me
Yeah.
is it's a community thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like very similarly because I mean, when I was a kid, like it would be me and my real life friends like playing games together, and then I literally started streaming in the height of the pandemic, and like finding this community was like the best thing that I could have done, and like I'm really honored to that all of these people want to hang out with me and play games, but like I think it's so important to find a sense of community online. I absolutely hate when people say that online friends aren't your real friends because it's just not true. Like it's just not true. And yeah, like we're there for each other and have this like common interest, and I think that's really nice. And yeah, like you said, like some people will have people around them today. Like that was also sort of why like I wanted to raise money for this charity today, because this can be like a really hard day for a lot of people. Like I'm not a huge fan of New Year's and like the feelings that it has. And December, January can be a hard month for people. So yeah, like having these spaces, not just like my own space, but other streamers and other content creators and gaming spaces online is just so important. And I think like the pandemic really showed that as well. So
In lieu of being with people, I know a lot of people this year that spent the holidays alone.
yeah.
And I feel for them. Like that wasn't my case. I'm lucky enough
Mm-hmm.
to be here with my family, but when people are alone, like I would call those people, like my friends, call them up on that day and just
Mm-hmm.
say, you're not alone. I just want to say hi, and and we'd sit, laugh for 10 minutes or something, and that makes a huge difference. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And so when you do this like stream here, like I'm sure you've told these people, like all you guys in the chat, like you all matter. You're all
Mm-hmm.
welcome here to hang out, and I'm just happy that I could be like a little part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we appreciate it so much that like again the fact that you take the time out of your New Year's Eve and your time with your family to be here, like it means so much. So yeah, I know that like the chat has been so excited to have you here, and like a lot of us actually, I mean there's people in this chat who are longtime Resident Evil fans, but because we've been playing these games together, a lot of us are new fans. Um, and you're our Leon, so it's really cool that you would do this. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, this is great. So everybody, share some love in the chat for us and you
Yeah,
guys and everybody and Katie for doing this.
yeah.
And we are at 8:40
We're
now.
at 8:40.
We're climbing. I like to do appearances on streams like this because I get to connect with new fans that I don't know yet. And the
Yeah,
thing about the fandom is like it's cool that people are fans, but I always tell everybody I'm literally just one of you guys. Like
yeah,
I'm just a fan that got really lucky. That's
yeah.
all. So that's why I like to hang out, and plus we do appreciate the support, like these voice actors and
Mm-hmm.
all my friends in these RE games. Like yeah, I won't remember every single name and every single comment, but what it does is it creates like a very supportive atmosphere that impacts us, and that's why we do this. A lot of
Yeah.
the fellow RE cast, like Neil Newbin, he streams a lot. Nicole Tompkins streams a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they do that too is because like the fans have given them so much, and a guy
Yeah.
like me too. Like you guys have given us so much support and love over the past couple of years that we'd like to give it back. And
Yeah.
again, I might not remember every name, but you all matter, and every time we see this, that's what keeps us going.
Yeah.
Like Stephanie Panisello, she streams a lot too. She
Yeah.
played Claire in RE2, obviously, and she loves you guys. So
Mm-hmm.
hop on her channel if you haven't already.
I mean, the reason that we're talking right now is because my mods got me a cameo from you. Um,
That's right. Yeah,
for
I remember.
for my
I did
partner
that in
anniversary.
yeah,
Yeah,
I recorded that in Kenya. I remember that one.
yeah. Um, Shout out to Lindsay because Lindsay is the one that set it all up. She is super sweet. Yeah, you mentioned in that you would like to stream, and is that something that you said like next year you're thinking of streaming more? Because
Yeah.
you have a Twitch, but obviously you don't stream at the minute.
Not right now. I just can't.
Yeah.
I travel like outside of this little holiday break. I am on the road about 25 days every month with work right now. And I'm just never home, and I
Yeah.
mean, you probably know as a partner, if you don't really dedicate a good
Mm,
amount of time to this, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be worth it for people to sub to you if you're not doing this two, three, four times a week.
yeah.
I just I have so much going on right now that I can't, but I want to because I play video games so much and I enjoy it. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, why not create the community and let people watch and hang out?
Yeah.
I just got a lot of tech stuff to figure out, and I have to figure out what kind of a streamer I want to be, like
Yeah.
what I'm comfortable with, because the thing with me is when I play video games, I get so focused, like laser focused. It's hard for me to
Yeah.
multitask. When I see streamers like playing the game, kicking ass in the games,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with the chat, and like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they do that. They
It's
they just multitask really
it
good.
is hard. Sometimes I can't do it. Like sometimes I like the concentration and you gotta concentrate, but uh yeah, like tech is definitely the worst thing to set up for streaming. I will say that, but I mean,
Yeah.
you have like a whole community that will help you if you're thinking of streaming.
Oh,
Is
I know.
there
I've been offered a lot of help, but what I would want more from the community is patience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Is
think everyone will be there whenever and like whatever time you stream will probably be there. Would you stream
basically.
the Resident Evil games? Is that what
Hell
you
yeah,
Yeah.
weekend, yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking possibly about streaming RE4 VR with my little brother.
Oh.
If we can maybe set it up in the next couple days, I just don't know if that's a reality with the lack of our tech here, and
Hmm.
we'll see, we'll see. I'll just answer a few more and then I'll get on
Sure.
my way.
Perfect.
And let you get back to streaming your game because I
Yeah.
know they want to see you play and kick ass.
Yeah, we're gonna play a modded version of Village later. So,
Nice. What mod?
well, cursed chaotic mods. I have a Barney the dinosaur as Lady D.
Okay.
We have like yeah, there we have like this mod that replaces the baby Rose's face with Chris's face and replaces
That
Chris's face with Rose's face.
that is funny.
I don't know how people come up with these things, but it's incredible. Like, oh, to be in the mind of a modder and have those talents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. Yeah.
Have you ever played like a modded version of Resident Evil 2?
I haven't played them, but I've seen like every mod. I mean, they did everything possible to Mr. X, and some of them were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Terminator was in there.
Yeah.
So they had the T-800 skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen like RoboCop. I mean, literally everyone that's come out in the past 2.5 years I've seen.
Yeah. Nice. There's some good
And then they
mods. There's some
and
weird
then they
ones
have
too.
all the mod. Then they have all the like the sexy ones like Leon in a
Yeah.
speedo and shit, and like
Yeah.
Mr. X in a speedo.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious, but kind of weird.
We did like a modded run of Resident Evil 2. Uh and my mods actually like my mods in chat, they picked the mods that I was to use. We had a Thomas the Tank Engine
That's a
uh
good one.
over well, it was Mr. X was all of the zombies, so all of the zombies were fucking OP. And then Thomas the Tank Engine was over that. So it was like the Thomas the Tank Engine theme
Holy
music.
shit!
Like the whole
Wow,
way, like that music is gonna haunt me for the rest of my life.
that's
Um,
crazy.
Miles asked if you're a Marvel fan.
Yeah, of course. I've seen like every Marvel movie there is,
Nice.
and I'm very excited to see the new Spider-Man. Haven't yet, so no spoilers.
No
But
spoilers. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely want to see that.
Yeah, lots of Marvel fans in chat. Do you have a favorite Marvel character?
Uh, no, that's kind of hard to say.
Mm.
I would really, really have to think about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's another question here. I would love to hear about your art if you don't mind talking about it. Just what made you get into it? Is there a favorite setup if you have a drawing session? I'll talk a little bit about that, and
Yeah.
um, then I'll probably get out of here. Let's see. Well, my art, my art. That was the first hobby I ever had in my life. When I was like
Mm-hmm.
2, 3 years old, I was scribbling with crayons and stuff, and I started to get into like I always liked realism. I like to copy what I see all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I just doodled all my life until I was about like 18 or 20 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just kind of stopped because I just got into the real world with like college, and then I was career focused, and
Yeah.
I had so many hobbies with like guitar, cooking, and all that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
building and crafting with wood and carpentry and all that. And I, for some reason, art just took a back seat, and I forgot about it. Like, so growing up, all the friends I met from like age like 20 to 35, nobody knew that I drew ever.
Yeah.
And when the pandemic hit, I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I met a couple very important people in my life, like really pivotal creative artist type people
Mm-hmm.
who just for some reason I was just ready, and
Mm-hmm.
they kind of like relit that fire in me to get back to art when they learned that I was an artist. They're like, why don't you draw more? Why don't you do art? And I was like, well, I get sidetracked and I have so many hobbies.
Yeah.
And one friend of mine just challenged me one day to just draw something. She's like, just try something and I'll draw something. We'll trade and see how we do
Oh,
and
that's
stuff.
so good. Yeah.
When that happened, I drew a tribute piece to one of my favorite illustrators growing up. His name was Stephen Gamble. He
Mm-hmm.
illustrator of scary stories, and I copied one of his pictures. And at that very moment, I looked at what I had done, and I was like, "Wow, the old man still got some shit in there. He's still got some talent." And right then and there, I just said, "Let's. I want to keep drawing a little bit." And from there, it just spiraled into like taking commissions again, and I
Nice.
was like, I love Resident Evil, like BOWs and characters. I was like, maybe I'll just start drawing some cool things. And it
Yeah.
started from there. So I kind of got back into it. And ever since that began over a year and a half ago, my style of pencil work has evolved. I'm learning new techniques, learning to work with new tools and everything like that, new like utensils and everything. And that's kind of how it happened again. So I drew for
Nice.
the first 20 years of my life, and now I just started back up again.
Nice. Yeah. And your art is incredible. Like it's really nice to have a passion like that and then like life just gets in the way and then like
It
finding
does.
the passion again is really cool. So I'm glad you got to find that again. And yeah,
Thank you.
your art is
I'll
stunning.
well, I'll share with you in Discord right now
Mhm.
the very picture that got me back into drawing. This was the first one I did in lockdown. That image is from Stephen Gamble. To see those when I was a kid, I was horrified. And I was like, these are so cool. Like, and that's what sparked my love
Oh
for like
yeah.
horror and macabre and all that
Shit.
stuff.
That's so
It's just
cool.
disturbing, like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why I like horror.
Well, thank you so much for like answering as many questions as you could. I know there's like a lot of questions and again for like the 50th time, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It means a lot to me, it means a lot to the community, and I think my friend Lindsay might like pass away if she doesn't know. She needs to know if you're a Lord of the Rings fan before you go.
I am a Lord of the Rings fan, yes.
Okay,
And yes, I am. I've seen all the movies. I like the lore, and I would love to see them kind of revisit that for
great.
sure.
Yeah, I had to ask
Yes.
that for Lindsay because she's the one that got the cameo, did all like basically is why this is happening. So yeah, there we go. But thank you so much. But yeah, if there's anything else you want to say, thank you so much, like from all of us. Thank you for being such a great Leon, and thank you for the heart that you put into your incredible performance. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to so many of us. So thank you so much.
Thank you for doing charity like this on a day like today, and thank you for having me. You could have had
Yeah.
a lot of people, and I'm sure the community appreciates you very much. So everybody in the chat, it was nice to meet you. If I have not met you before, thank you, Katie, and everybody. Have a great New Year.